All right, good morning to all. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. In partnership with the Commission on Higher Education Regional Office 11 and Rex Academy, we officially welcome you to the second day of our free webinar entitled Davao Region HEI's Flexible Learning Webinar Series on Modular Approach to Teaching General Education Courses. This is Neil Manglanlan, Marketing Brand Manager of Tertiary Materials Division under Career, Livelihood, and Vocation, and I will be hosting this morning's webinar. Now, first and foremost, let me give you a quick rundown on what will happen this morning. After our opening prayer, we will be introducing our resource speakers who will tackle separate topics on teaching general education courses and in flexible learning in the context of math in the modern world and art appreciation. After each topic, we'll have a Q&A portion to give way to your questions. And later on, we'll have the acknowledgments before end of our webinar. Now, before we begin, may we please ask everyone to bow their heads and feel the presence of our Lord with an opening prayer.
O Lord, when we enter the classroom, give us those virtues which will make us an effective educator. Give us wisdom beyond knowledge, not merely to know the facts we prepare, but to see their importance to the lives of those we teach. Give us that wisdom which will prevail in the face of indifference, for youth comes with no deep interest in you. We must create this interest. Give us your kindness, which lived on in the face of treachery and disinterest, to see behind the mask the loathsome soul. Give us your patience, which was not disappointed by failure. To teach, we must imitate you, who worked in the tough soil of the human will. Give us your humility to lead others to you, as you led others to your Father. Since we can give no grace, never let us promote ourselves. Give us insight to appreciate that we are the other, that these youth have neither our control nor our desire. Then add a spirit of kindness to our discipline. Learn that when we point out to the youth the way to heaven, we must not lose the way ourselves. Finally, let us understand that our greatest reward is not to be here, but hereafter, when, accompanied by the youth we have instructed. We will shine like stars in heaven for having diffused your light upon earth. These we ask in the name of your Son, the greatest educator who ever lived. Amen.
Now, for us to have a meaningful and productive webinar, please be guided of some reminders. Number one, you may encode your questions to the speaker at any time in the public chat space. All encoded or received questions will be gathered and answered during the Q&A session. For the technical and quality purposes, only the speakers will be able to use their microphones during the session. If you will be unable to enter the Zoom room, the webinar can still be viewed through Facebook Live at www.facebook.com/CHED ROX1 or I, and YouTube Live at youtube.com/CHED Regional Office 11. To receive the electronic certificate of participation, you need to fill out the online evaluation. The evaluation link will be given at the end of the webinar by the moderator, and it will be closed 2 hours after the session ended. Lastly, those watching via Facebook or YouTube Live can still receive e-certificates if they are registered participants and able to accomplish the online evaluation within the specified time duration. Right? Those are just some of our reminders for all. Once again, we welcome all our listeners, our partner from the Commission on Higher Education Regional Office 11, especially to their officers, our HEIs from Davao Region, and to our Rex Bookstore family headed by the chairman and the president of the Group of Companies, Attorney Dominador Buhain. Also, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our Chief External Affairs Officer, Ms. Danda Cremel de Buhain, together with our market team and the regional sales team and the IMC team. Now, let's get started. Now, on to our lecture proper. Um, our resource speaker, our first research speaker for this morning is a licensed teacher teaching various mathematics subjects from junior high school to college. She finished her undergraduate course at the Philippine Normal University Manila and her Master of Arts in Education major in math at the National Teachers College Manila. Currently, she is an assistant professor 4 at Manila Taytana College, teaching mathematics subjects such as mathematics in the modern world, statistics and probability, business calculus, college algebra, and physics. She is also a subject coordinator, mathematics unit for senior high school, and serves as an institutional research statistician at the same college. She was given a numerous awards and recognitions, including Most Promising Teacher Award in 2017 and a special citation in 2018 with Manila Taytana Colleges or College to discuss teaching general education courses in flexible learning system in the context of math in the modern world. Let us all welcome our first resource speaker, Professor Esmeralda A. Manlulu.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope my audio is clear.
Yes,
So
Prof,
let me
it
share
is
my
clear.
screen. I hope that everyone is in good condition during this time. So, um, Sir Neil, pa-share po ako pa-allow po akong pa-share ng screen.
Yes. Sir Rod, please allow Professor Manlulu to share her slides. There you go, Prof. Manlulu.
Again, good morning, everyone. Let me share Mathematics in the Modern World, a GEC retooling in flexible learning. Since it's time of pandemic, maybe it's better to call it Mathematics in the Modern World in the New Normal edition. So I'm Professor Esmeralda Manlulu, a professor in Manila Titana Colleges. So now, let's go straight to the facts. We are moving online. And we know that there are a lot of challenges when it comes to moving online, especially here in the Philippines. We have been experiencing a lot of challenges when it comes to internet connection. Now, the challenges, not only by the faculty members, but also by the students. And we as teachers, we need to cater everyone, different learners, and these different learners have different challenges as well, especially if they are staying at home. They might have the following challenges, and we teachers also experience this one. Of course, number one, buffering of loading of websites, no internet connection. I know that sometimes everyone can relate onto this. What else? Sometimes this would be displayed on our website. There is no internet connection, and sometimes we do just play with the dinosaur. Have you experienced that, playing with the dinosaur while waiting for the website to be loaded? Now, flexible learning would be the most, I guess personally, would be the most appropriate strategy for us here in the Philippines, especially that we have a lot of challenges here in our country. Now, flexible learning is a good strategy because it caters where the students learn. I mean, the place is not of very much, the place is not a concern, really a concern, because they can study at home. When, if they are nocturnal, they can study during midnight, or minsan madaling araw, they can study there. And how will they learn? They can study through their phones, through their laptops, through their tablets. So flexible learning would really address majority of our learners. For flexible learning, we have what we call offline learning and online learning. Of course, for offline learning, we have modules that would cater the needs of the students, even the professors are not around. So an example of that would be the module in mathematics in the modern world, published by Rex. So I'm one of the co-authors for Mathematics in the Modern World module. And then we have online learning. So of course, I know that you know already what is flexible learning. Let me remind everyone that we need to balance. There must be offline learning and online learning. Nowadays, it is a challenge for us professors, though our learners are in college already. We know that they are matured enough, but sometimes you have to remind them from time to time. Gen Zs nowadays, you really have to remind them that they have to budget their time, they have to spend their time wisely, and they have to focus on their studies as well, though they are staying at home. So in flexible learning, facilitators must assist learners to manage their time and maximize their learning. They can actually maximize their learning by not by browsing, but by studying the module, even though the professors are not around. So again, we have to remind them from time to time that they have to manage their study time. So if it's math in the modern world schedule, they must focus only for the math in the modern world. So I guess it would be better during the first day of class, there must be an agreement between you and among the students so that if it's mathematics in the modern world, therefore it's mathematics in the modern world. If you're not going to meet them online, they have to allot really a time for them to study and do advanced reading as well. You know what? It's a really good advantage if the module is published already because the students can have an advanced reading. And then the professors would not have a lot of workloads to do. You're not going to do module already. You're just going to supply maybe videos that would supplement their learning. Now, we are talking about Gen Zs and we're talking about the 21st century learners. And these are important to incorporate to our 21st century learners. We have what we call the forces. These forces would be a preparation for the new global society. So what are these forces? Collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication. But how are we going to do that during this new normal of education? Now, our module, actually, let me go back to my slide. Our module has this forces that would still cater the forces that would prepare them for the new global society. Later, I'm going to show you activities, sample of my students' activities that would really prove that we can still cater these forces even though we are dealing with Gen Zs. Now, of course, for flexible learning, since we have offline and online learning, we have to always think about the digital well-being of our students and our digital well-being, we as professors. So again, here, you must be prepared already. And how will that preparation be easier? Of course, if you have already the module, it's easier for you to teach. Again, if they have the module in their houses, they can browse for the next lessons. At least they are prepared. So when it comes to synchronous online learning, if you have now the time for online discussion, it's easier for you to deliver conversation with them because they have read already everything. So here, if that would be the case, we are really catering or we are really after the digital well-being of our students and of course us professors. Because back in the days where before pandemic, we can go to class, straight to class with just a marker or a chalk and we can just write everything there. I know that teachers are really creative and we are really artistic when it comes to teaching. But now, during this pandemic, it's a different case. So it would be better if the workload would be easier for us so that we can cater and we can supplement the learning of different learners. So I'll be presenting portions of our module and some activities of the students. Now, our module, Mathematics in the Modern World, has these forces that would prepare students for the new global society, especially this new normal. So we have collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication. But how do we do that? I mean, it's different now. So before pandemic, we can just ask them to browse this page, answer this page and everything. But how do we do that during this time of pandemic? Now, I'll be presenting portions of our module and then I'll be presenting some works of my students because before pandemic, I'm already incorporating flexible learning. And then I was asking actually my students back before pandemic, I was asking them instead of passing printed outputs, I'm asking them to upload it already on our Google Classroom so that I would minimize those papers in my desk. So the outputs that I'll be presenting, I asked actually the students if I can present it today, and they have agreed upon it. Now, one of the sections of our module is on page 9. So that's under chapter 1, the nature of mathematics, lesson 1, mathematics and nature. So here, this is the application of chapter 1, and this targets creativity. So do you want to have a perfect collage of photos that will be perfect on your social media account? Then lay out using the golden ratio diagram. So I asked them to do this one, especially nowadays, students are really fond of posting online. All of their faces are there. So why not make use of this golden ratio diagram? But during this time, I asked them, since we are offering mathematics in the modern world for first year students, I actually asked them to roam around our school and take pictures of it. Why did I do that? Because majority of the students are transferees. I want them to feel belong with inside the school. So I want them to bond with their classmates. So aside from the fact that I'm asking them to do the requirement, there are incorporating values for that. So I ask them to roam around, take pictures of it, explore the facility, especially those new students. I ask the old students to guide those new students so that they know what are the facilities inside our school, then bond with them. Of course, I know that we cannot do that during this time. Although maybe sabihin natin there might be face to face, but of course, no, it depends on what would be the IATF would be recommending. Why not inside their houses? So, or why not family photos? So ask them, maybe they can present before pandemic pictures of the students and their families, and then pictures of them after pandemic. So maybe they can have fun with collaging their photos, and then they can bond with their families as well. Okay. This has been a requirement for the students. This was prescribed by CHED, no, guidelines for us teaching mathematics in the modern world. Now, let me share this one. One is Ian Stewart's teacher's numbers. So I asked the students, because this is a requirement in mathematics in the modern world, to read nature's numbers. I asked them actually to read the whole book, but of course I have to give them time. And then this has been a recommendation of CHED in their guidelines for teaching mathematics in the modern world about the following. So mathematics helps to organize patterns and regularities in the world. Mathematics helps to predict the behavior of nature and phenomena in the world. Mathematics helps to control nature and occurrences in the world for our own ends. This has been a recommendation by CHED. They have to write a 2 to 3 page synthesis paper. Of course, teachers are creative. You may actually ask the students to write an essay if you would like to. So ask them to answer or to write an essay. Actually, on this part, you may be in partnership with your purposive communication teacher. Maybe talk to one English teachers if they are teaching purposive communication. Why not have a collaboration? So at least you're giving a task at the same time the students would not find it very difficult on your subject because your subject is integrated with another subject. And I think that it's a win-win situation between the students and between the teacher. You're checking less work. At the same time, if the students have difficulty when it comes to internet connectivity, at least they are doing one output but two subjects at the same time. Okay. Now, if time does not permit, no, for them to have an essay, why not have an alternative output that would somehow cater chapter one? So for those teachers who are using their headphones, you might turn the volume down. And for those who are using their speakers, please turn the volume. So I'll be playing now the video of my students. This is one of their outputs for mathematics in the modern world.
Ma'am, Ma'am, Ma'am Esmeralda.
Ay, yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Wala pong audio. Wala po siyang audio.
Wala po siyang audio. Sige po. Thank you po.
Baka hindi lang po na na share yung computer sound.
Yes po. Okay po. Thank you, sir.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Okay, let me share again the video.
Math is everywhere. It's in all your favorite things.
I'm having a difficulty here. Let me do that one time again.
Math is everywhere. It's in all your favorite things. Look around you. You can find math at church, on the road, in the market, especially in school.
Math is not a problem solving tool. It's a process of
Okay, let me copy there.
Math is
here, you could assess actually chapter 1 and chapter 2. It's a fusion of chapter 1 and chapter 2. You may have an alternative output which would be a video clip, but of course they cannot do that by group. So why not ask them that how do they use math inside their houses? So they may actually observe their family members. How do they use math? So you may ask them to have a video clip of it. At the same time, actually, they can bond with their family members. Their family members can be there in the video, or their family members could assist them when making use or when making these kinds of video. So I think it's a good alternative output, and the students would enjoy that because nowadays students would like to make their own vlogs and then upload it to YouTube. So why not? Okay. Now, if you do not like a video clip or asking them to make vlog, why not ask them to make infographics? So this infographics is by Ian Stewart. Actually, I asked the students to pick one chapter and make infographics. Students now like to edit pictures. They like memes. We know that they like memes. So why not ask them to make infographics? So ask them to pick one chapter and ask them to make an infographics. Okay. Now, another thing here on chapter 2, mathematics as a language. By the way, our mathematics as a language, it's not logic because I think that's a separate topic. So mathematics as a language, it's a different thing here in our module. We really comply with what CHED has presented. So one of the activities for chapter 2 that is found on page 31 is by writing simple statements and compound statements about the Philippines. This can be trivia or recent news. Actually, here on this activity, you may be asking one of your co-teachers teaching contemporary world. You may ask them, why not have a collaboration with mathematics in the modern world and contemporary world? Why not ask them to make this kind of activity? So simple statement, compound statement, then both of you, contemporary world teacher and mathematics in the modern world, design a rubric that would be your tool to check their works. And then the technical side of that is asking them to use the correct symbols for compound statements. Again, for chapter 2, it's not yet logic. Though you are actually introducing basic elements about logic here, but it's not your logic here in chapter 2. It's a different chapter. Okay. Another part here that would be really helpful and everyone might relate here, can relate here. This is on page 79, chapter 4, statistics and data. If they would allow it, why not ask them to take their electricity bills and compute for the mean, median, and mode? Just like here, construct a box and whisker plot, and then ask the following questions. Which month has the most electricity consumption? What is the first quartile of your given data? What is the median? Which month has the least electricity consumption? This might be too hard for you whenever you check. So why not have it as 2 seat works already or 3 seat works already? Because our problem nowadays, how are we going to check? Of course, we have a lot of websites that would help us in checking, but sometimes we would like to know how do they solve it manually. Though actually, they can make use of MS Excel or SPSS. Now, another thing here is this is really important. So hand washing is an important habit that everyone should have, especially nowadays. So they can relate on to this. Then here, ask them to observe their family members or they themselves, and then construct a frequency distribution table. So make use of actual data if possible. Okay. Now, one of the topics in mathematics in the modern world is statistics. And of course, sometimes we have to teach them how to be tech savvy. So incorporate or teach them already how to make use of MS Excel. I know that they know it already. But of course, to tell you honestly, not all students know these formulas. So here on our module, we have already presented what are the formulas to be used by the students. It's easier for us to tell them during online classes. Of course, it's a different thing if they have the printed copy. So type average, type median. Of course, you know this already. So the students can follow you. So if ever they cannot connect to you online, so at least they have already the formulas. It's already printed, no need for internet connection. Standard deviation variance, we have presented the important things here. Correlation. Now, actually, with this topic, when I taught this topic, I actually asked them to do it on MS Excel and then upload it in our Google Classroom. Let me remind you everyone that students are really witty. They can actually just type everything and not input the formulas. So here, it might be a challenge for us. You have to check if they really have input all the formula. So you really have to check. And then of course, if we would like the students to know how to solve it manually, still ask them for manual computation. This is my reassurance that they really know how to compute it. At least somehow they know that their answers are correct if they are going to enter that in MS Excel. Okay. Now, how about computations, especially graphing? Graphing it might be a challenge for everyone, especially for the students. So sometimes they forgot how to construct a line. And given an equation, sometimes it's a challenge for us math teachers to go back to the basic. So of course, they know how to do it. And we may actually teach it easier if we're going to make use of some of the available apps in Google App Store, or actually they can download that directly on their websites. We have GeoGebra, we have Arithmetica, we have Desmos. And it's one way of them checking if their answers are correct. Because again, it's not all the time that we are with them. We are having our synchronous learning because again, it's flexible learning. So there must be a support from the teacher and the parents as well. So here, whenever you are teaching linear programming, make use of some softwares that would really help the students and would help you as well. Okay, now another portion of our module would be about propositions. This is under logic that is found on page 155. So as an introduction, I asked them actually after teaching propositions, I asked them actually to make 10 propositions about themselves and ask their classmates how many are true, how many are false. So it's one way of bonding with their classmates as well. Maybe they can have group chats and or group FB group and upload their infographics about themselves, and then at least they have a bonding time among themselves. At the same time, they are applying already what they have learned about propositions. So that is an infographic that is an output of one of my students. Okay. Of course, we really have to be prepared. We have to prepare everything, our lessons, and it would be easier if the students have already the printed module. And then we have to supplement all those facts that are on the module. But though we are prepared, sometimes we really have to be flexible. During the first meeting, I advise everyone, before, of course, you start lecturing, ask them first. You have to make a survey. Ask them, are they using computer? Are they using phones? Are they using tablets? Are they using laptops? Do they have their own gadget? So that you can adjust things here. We cannot give a lot of sit works. We cannot give a lot of quizzes because we have to be compassionate about our students. It's a different time now. So we have to be flexible as well. Though we prepared everything, but please be compassionate about your students. So be flexible whenever you are giving outputs, whenever you are giving quizzes. So one good thing about the module is that um, they do not need internet connection. Everything is there. They can answer ahead of time the module, which would be a good thing because sometimes we wish and we pray students do advanced reading and they do not sometimes. But now, since they have to be responsible with their studies, now here we can really advise students to make an advanced study about the lesson so that during discussion, during synchronous learning, it's a good flow of discussion. And you would not wait for the students, what's your answer, what's your answer? They can initiate conversation already. Okay. Of course, I know that teachers are very creative, but again, we really need to be creative, and it's 2.0. No, it's an updated creative person, creative teacher during this time. So we should be creative, an upgraded level of creativity. So thank you everyone. If you have any questions, you may feel free to email me at meforstarbucks@gmail.com. Thank you everyone.
Thank you for that wonderful lecture, Professor Manlulu. Now, let us read some questions that pertains to our recent topic with the help of our research speaker, Professor Esmeralda A. Manlulu, who will graciously answer some of your queries.
Okay, I have here from Ma'am Rhea Leslie Altivo. Good morning. For clarification for statistic and data, can we use SPSS? Yes, ma'am. Actually, you may make use of SPSS whenever you are discussing. There's no problem with that. But you have to make an assurance with your students because it's learning by doing. Do they have one as well? Will there be a problem for them if they are going to download SPSS or not? So actually, yes, you may actually make use of a lot of softwares po. I hope I answer your question po. And then there is another question. Sir Percival Kabang, how can we implement group activities when students are not physically capable of meeting? Okay. Of course, they can really not meet, but they can have students have group chats. We know that they can actually communicate with their classmates using chats, or if not, if it's really hard for them to communicate with one another, so we have to filter the activities and make it individual. But if it's possible for them to communicate with one another, there's no problem with the internet connection. Why not ask them to have an output and upload that maybe in Google document or Google Slides if they will be presenting, and with that they can actually have collaboration because they can edit at the same time. They can leave comments, and then the group mates can see the comments of one of their classmates, so they can edit at the same time. Still, actually, it's possible to have group activities. It's just that make sure that they don't have a problem communicating with one another, because sometimes they might argue with you, eh, ma'am, she's not cooperating. He is not cooperating. It's hard to reach out. So we have to test the waters here. Do they have a hard time communicating to one another? So before giving group activities, you have to test the waters if it's okay for them to have group activities. So why not give one group activity? If the output turns out to be fine, then I think it would be possible. I hope I answer your question po. Okay.
Next question,
Okay.
Professor. Yes, it's from Alex Tolentino.
Ha,
What
okay.
ICT tools can we use to effectively teach mathematics in online class?
Okay po. Um, as I have told you po a while ago, for graphing po, we have Graphmatica, Desmos, and GeoGebra. Actually, GeoGebra, you can make use of the stats part there. Just explore po GeoGebra and you have the stats part there. ICT tools. If, for example, you are making use of LMS, but you would like to go outside the box, there are a lot of apps, math editor types that you can actually make use of and make use of that whenever you are lecturing or whenever you are making quizzes. For example, Optio, it's spelled as OPTIO. It's a math equation editor that can be used in Google Forms, Google Documents, and whenever you ask them to answer a quiz, they can actually click the up to you icon and they can actually enter fractions. They can actually enter um, logarithms. They can actually enter symbols there. So I hope I answered your question po.
Professor Manolo, a question from our FB Live in
Apo.
Unit 2,
Okay
Data
po.
Management. Do we need examples for both group and group data in solving mean, median, mode, SD, var, and fractals?
Okay po. Thank you po for the question. Um, If you are to ask me, yes po. If time permits po, show them as well that we have group data, because I know that students are familiar, I hope that they are, with group data, but we have to show them that we actually have group data as well. So that whenever they see group data, they know how to find the mean, median, mode, variance. I hope I answered for your question. if time permits po, but we have to test waters here. We have to adjust. If time does not permit, then teach the essentials po.
Yes, Professor Manulu. Now, from our FB Live, one of the topics in math in the modern world is about apportionment and voting. What is the possible performance task of this topic?
Okay po, for apportionment and voting, possible output for that would be, I guess, asking them to make their own word problems and ask them to demonstrate the skills in different types of voting. Because for voting, they might be shocked that it's a different thing. For other countries, it's a different thing. And they might find it odd, but I guess the best way for that is ask them to make their own word problems and apply the skills needed for that. Because if you're going to ask me, can they experience that? Of course, we have different kind of system here. So I think that's the best way that they can do it. I hope I answer for your question.
Thank you for that, Prof. Now, another question here on our Zoom um, broadcast. Kindly differentiate the kind of logic that you are teaching in math in the modern world as that of logic and philosophy. What is your focus here?
Okay. Actually, the logic under mathematics in the modern world, majority of the logic here is of symbols. We are of, if I'm not, is I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, the proper word to use is more of the symbols, the technical sides, rather than pure discussion. So it's more of the symbols, how we make use of that. Of course, the logic under mathematics in the modern world is a, ano ba to, a subset. Let me make use of the word subset of logic and philosophy. Of course, logic and philosophy, it's broad, of course. But what we focus here is more of the symbols, because some schools offer philosophy subject as well, if I'm not, or logic actually, if I'm not mistaken. So they can actually tackle the logic per se of philosophy under another subject. So it's more of the symbols here for mathematics in the modern world. I hope I answer your question po. Okay. Um,
Yes, for Albert Revilla, most of the students do not have PC or laptops wherein they can generate the data in Excel for statistics application. Aside from that, it is somewhat difficult to merge certain concept without discussing first each concept. So I'm not pretty sure if this is a question or more of an opinion.
siguro sir, I can, ano po ba, paano po? Siguro I can give a piece of advice po.
Opo.
Ah, um, thank you, Sir Albert. Actually, yeah, this is one of our challenges, the gadgets po talaga. Here, um, if they do not have PC or laptops, actually they can make use of their phones po. Ask them to, actually they can make use of Google Sheets, and it's a free app. They can actually enter the data there, and they can actually have the results po. And by the way, hindi po ako I do not advertise Microsoft, but if the email of the students or even us teachers is with edu.edu, they can actually access the Microsoft site, and they can actually make use of the Microsoft Excel there for free. Yun po. Or actually even I think they have that edu Gmail. If not po, if wala pa rin po, why not make use of the Google Sheet? And I guess it would be applicable po. I hope I answer your question po. Sige
Thank
po.
you, Prof. Now from Rodrigo Salimaco Jr. Since we are now facing the scarcity of time and even the connection with the students, is there a possibility that the syllabus that the CHED has given be shortened, considering that it is expected that not all students could immediately grasp the topics? Can you share some techniques po on how do we have to do our pacing?
Okay. Thank you po, Sir Rodrigo. Um, Actually, sometimes before pandemic, it depends on our learners. Their facing actually is very, their pacing is actually very important. Sometimes we cannot actually target everything. When I attended seminar of MSP Mathematics Society of the Philippines, one of the speakers there answered this kind of question, and he said, I think he's one of the technical panel for mathematics in the modern world. Just choose the essentials, and then it's okay. If you cannot cover everything, it's okay. Just choose the essentials. What are the things needed? Especially, of course, we have different programs. So we have BS accountancy students, we have BS nursing students. Choose the essential topics for them. And then I guess it's better to discuss thoroughly essential topics than to cover everything with a fast pacing po. Can you share some techniques po on how do we have to do our pacing? The pacing, it should target the average or majority of your learners. For example, if it's hard for them to graph lines, then you really have to start with the basic. And then, for example, you cannot cover the word problems under linear programming, then, and you want to shift to another lesson, then just maybe give one example and how is it being applied in linear programming, and you can shift to another topic. Um, Teachers, let's make sure that we do not create learners' anxiety. Kailangan ano po mathematics in the modern world is more of appreciation of mathematics. Hindi na po siya katulad. It's not like our math before that we really have to solve everything, solve for the value of x, solve for the value of y. It's more of appreciation po. Okay po, I hope I answered your question po. Okay po. Here, there is another Sir Neil. 3 more questions pa, no? Sir Neil. Sige po, I'll be reading po the questions. Sir Alan Navales. Assuming that you learned your math well, do you think SR or art major can also teach well mathematics in the modern world? This question is more of a technical side. I have not been a dean before po, so maybe I can answer personally po. Art major can also teach well mathematics in the modern world. Why not po? I mean, it's if your dean permits that you teach math, though you are an art major, why not po? If the dean thinks you're capable of it, then why not po? If you know actually the topics under mathematics in the modern world, I guess there's no problem with that. If your dean permits po, of course, there is a technical side on that. That's an admin side. So I really cannot answer that. But if you're going to ask me personally, then I guess you may po. Okay po. Sir Felicissimo, what is your recommendations to our teachers and students as well to make mathematics easy especially in this time of pandemic. Thank you, Madam. Okay. My recommendations to the teachers first. Again, we really have to be prepared. We really have to know um, technology first. I know that you mastered your subject well, but we have to know technology. What are the sites? What are the apps that would make our life easier? But we have to make sure that these sites are applicable to the students. Maybe we know that the site is easy for us, but is it easy for the students as well? We have to think of that. Like, if we're going to make quizzes, if you're going to give 50 items, kaya ba? Can the students do it? For example, if you have a time pressure of 1.5 hours, can the students do it? Because you have to think that if during this time they find it difficult to learn math, to answer quizzes, to answer exercises, then will they enroll next year? I mean, we might cause anxiety as well, and it might be stressful for us because we are expecting that they can answer everything, but in reality, they cannot. So please do balance, and be prepared as well. I advise you, whenever you make quizzes, you answer it facing your laptop or you're facing your phones. Can you answer that under 1 hour? Can you answer that for 30 minutes? So advice to students would be, my advice to students, they have to manage your time. As in, seriously, they have to really be productive. If it's math in the modern world, it's math in the modern world only. And I guess it would be a good thing if there would be a partnership with the parents as well. They have to have someone in their family who would encourage them, who should remind them that it's study time, it's math in the modern world already, or any other subject. You have to study, you have to focus because they have a lot of distractions and we know that. Okay po. Sir Alan Navales. I think I have answered that po. Sige.
I believe that would be uh, I believe that would be our last question for Professor Manlulu. Sir Rod, not unless we have additional questions from our FB Live.
Wala na po, Sir Neil. Okay na po.
Okay. So thank you, Professor Manlulu, for gracing us and giving us your lecture on mathematics on uh, math in the modern world and graciously answering all the questions from our attendees.
Thank you din po. Stay safe everyone po.
Now, moving on to our next speaker. Okay. Now, moving on to our next speaker. Our next research speaker uh, works as a faculty member and resident pianist at the University of the Philippines College of Music, Diliman. He finished his Bachelor of Music in Piano Performance, magna cum laude, at the same school and completed his master's degree in piano performance at Temple University, Philadelphia, USA. His other occupations include being a consultant for the Department of Education, and an author on the Rex Publishing House. As a musician, he has performed extensively in concerts and recitals locally and abroad. He has collaborated with three orchestras, one of them the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra. Professor Albert was also a prize winner in several music competitions in the past. He has been the official accompanist and an adjudicator for the NAMCYA, or the National Music Competition for Young Artists. He was featured in the Philippine Daily Inquirer in 2002, on AM radio, TZUP, and on national television, PTB4. As a Christian, he has an advocacy for nation building through music, holding benefit concerts for public schools, orphanages, churches, and retirement homes. He began this since the age of 13 when he made his first public solo performance at GCF Artigas. He has also been in the preaching ministry, serving in his local church since 2014. To discuss teaching general education courses in flexible learning in the context of art appreciation, let us all welcome Professor Albert Napoleon J. Roldan.
Yes, good morning. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. Thank you po sa introduction, Sir Neil. Maayong buntag sa inyong tanan. Diyan po sa lahat ng mga fellow educators, administrative staff, teachers at Davao Region, and also to all other participants coming from other parts of the Philippines. Magandang umaga po at welcome sa lecture na ito. I hope that for this morning you would pay close attention, because although I am only discussing about art appreciation, there might be a few principles that you may be able to apply in your own respective subjects. Okay, so without any further ado, I'll start with my presentation. Okay, so okay, so let's begin here. Okay, let me just begin slide sharing. Okay, so for today, we will be talking about teaching art appreciation through flexible learning. Okay, so this will just be a brief presentation, because later on, we will be looking at several pages within the module itself, so that the teachers would have a hands-on experience on how to deliver topics within the art appreciation module. Okay, so just as a refresher, para lang po ma-review tayo. Okay, so I do not know how many of you were present in the webinar yesterday, also by Rex and CHED. Okay, so let's have a brief overview. Okay, when we talk about flexible learning, there are two major aspects in there. First one is synchronous and asynchronous learning. Synchronous meaning these are real-time lessons kung saan the teacher engages the student through online means. And asynchronous naman po is basically when the students study by themselves and learn the contents of the book, the contents of the module. Okay, and just like what my fellow author said earlier, I think na the students can continue learning through asynchronous means by reading in advance the topics that they have. Okay, so the module as a learning tool. Okay, so here are just a few points, no? So I think because of this pandemic, okay, the module would be, I think personally, would be the most advantageous kind of teaching delivery method. Okay, because it will be utilizing different online resources, videos, images, and recordings. Okay, and then in our module, art appreciation, It employs interactive activities in analyzing, critiquing, and discussing the arts and music. Okay, sabi ko nga din po kanina, students are encouraged to read ahead. Okay, so they have a lot more time, okay, because maybe their schedules are hindi man siguro structured, but they are more free to read and advance the lessons on their own. Okay. Now, using online groups for submissions of requirements, etc. So basically what this means is that teachers, we can utilize different software, different programs, okay, like Messenger, Facebook groups, Yahoo groups, okay, para po siguro magkaroon kayo ng collective group yun na ipasa yung mga requirements ng mga estudyante. Okay? So, tignan po natin dito ha. Okay. Alright, sige. So, that's just a brief overview. Okay. So, Sir Neil, can I get a check po if I am audible? If my audio is loud and clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear po.
Thank you very much, Sir Neil. Okay, sige po. We continue. Alright, sige po. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the module itself. I'll just be sharing to you, okay, a rough draft. Okay, hindi pa naman ito yung final copy, so huwag kayong mag-alala. No, so hindi naman siguro tayo malalagay sa copyright nito. No, so this is just a rough draft of our module, Art Appreciation. So I'm one of the authors here. My co-author, unfortunately, Chloe Deliosa, could not attend. She was the one who wrote the arts section of this module, while I was the one tasked to write the music section. Okay, so ito po kasing Art Appreciation is made up of 4 chapters. Okay, the first 2 chapters are basically dedicated to arts, visual arts, no po, and then the last 2 chapters are for music. So titignan po natin. I'll give sample lessons, okay, and the teachers can take note how they can deliver this during this time. Okay, so ito pong kagandahan ng course module na ito. This employs flexible learning because napakadami po nitong hands-on activities. Hindi po mabobore ang ating mga estudyante because they are not reading like a textbook. The way the content was presented was very conversational. So parang nakikipag-usap lang po. Besides this, madami pong activities, both for individuals and for groups. Okay? Pero, a note lang po para sa mga group activities. Okay? Teachers, and I'm advising you, all of this po, ano man po ang subject ninyo, please know the demographics of your class, of your classes. Okay? Kilalanin nyo po ang demographics ng class ninyo if they are able or if it is efficient or practical to hold group activities or not. Okay? So, mahirap po kasi itong panahon natin ngayon. Hindi katulad dati, it's face-to-face. Madali po mag-conduct ng group activities. But I encourage you po, before you start your classes, please take time to get to know the demographics, kung ano po yung demographics, population po ng inyong class, para you would come in prepared, no? Alright, so what we're going to do now, sige, we'll look at a sample lesson. So, let's jump here, page 1. Okay, so ito po, first chapter, that's art. So what? Okay, kanina po nabanggit ko yung tungkol sa asynchronous learning. Okay, and so here, we have an introduction. Okay, what is art for? Functions, relevance, and significance. So, ayan po, when the student is encounters these kinds of paragraphs, okay, they have no excuse or alibi na hindi nila basahin yan in advance. Hindi naman po siya heavy reading eh. It's not as heavy as a textbook. So ito pong kagandahan ng mga modules ng Rex, ano po. So we created this module, okay, na hindi naman namin alam na magkakaroon ng pandemic. But hopefully ito po, itong art appreciation, ito po isa sa mga subjects na ma-enjoy ng mga estudyante. Na instead of being a sort of requirement na maging burden pa ito sa kanila para lang matapos sila sa kanilang studies, they would actually find it enjoyable to engage learning in this module. Ano po? Bakit? Madami po tayo makikita. Besides the different artworks presented there, madami din pong mga sound recordings na akin pong nilagay sa aking music section. And so basically, pwede po sila makinig ng samples of music para sila magsa-sound trip. And that is very representative, okay, of a flexible learning, the use of media. Okay? So, hindi po sila mabobore because there's a lot of things to do. Okay? So, let's move on. After the introduction, okay? You have the competencies. Lagay na po dyan what is expected to be learned, no? Okay? So, ayan po. So, after that, okay, tuloy po tayo. Let's go straight to lesson 1. What is art to me? Understanding how art can meet some human needs. Okay? Once again, nandyan po, nakalagay na naman yung ating mga objectives. Okay, napakalinaw naman. The introduction, pwede po nila yung basahin. Okay? So, let's take a little look at the introduction. Tignan po natin. So, these are some proposed functions of art in our lives, but are not supposed to limit other presumed ideas. So, I'm reading here. Ano po? There is definitely more, but considering the scope and limit of our time, we will focus on the following. So, ito po, binibigyan ko lang po na example, no? Itong functions of art. We have beauty, happiness and hope, identity and understanding oneself, grief and healing. Okay? So, itong first 4 pa lang na ito, is it applicable for us during this time of pandemic? I believe so. Mahirap ang buhay natin ngayon, but we should not lose our sense of appreciating beauty, aesthetics. Art, through visual art and music, can instill happiness and hope sa mga nade-depress po dyan natin mga estudyante. Okay? Sabi ko nga po kanina, sana maging enjoyable itong pag-present, pag-deliver ng content dito sa art appreciation. Okay? Identity and understanding of oneself. As we all know, the arts and music are a perfect vehicle for self-expression. Ito po, ibig sabihin po nito dito sa number 3, we created a module wherein the students can write in their answers. Pwede po nilang gamitin niya ng workbook. Diyan po sila maglalagay ng sulat nila, maglagay sila ng kanilang drawings, ng artworks, mga reaction nila. Okay? And so, there, they can still explore themselves and discover themselves, no? So, identity and expression of oneself. Number 4, importante po ito, grief and healing. Yan. Okay? So, araw-araw, we are being bombarded by negative news. Some of it is very unnecessary and polluting sa ating mga souls. Okay? And so, I hope na ang mga estudyante, they would be given this module as a sort of a diversion. Not just as a learning tool, but also if they're grappling with depression or yung pagkabagot sa buhay because they can't go outside or anything. Okay? So, yan po, grief and healing. Remembering and mark making, raising awareness, culture and togetherness. Okay? So, I think that's very self-explanatory. Alright? So, ayan po. So, ayan po introduction. Now, let's go to the next part, activity. O, ayan. Sabi ko nga po sa inyo kanina, itong module na ito, it's filled with many activities. So, let's look at activity number 1. Ito po. Visit a local art and culture center. It may be a pottery making place, a local art gallery, school exhibit, a cultural event, a museum, or local arts and crafts store. Observe what is happening. Observe the processes that the artists or craftsmen are involved in. Okay. If not applicable, simply reflect on your experience on the space. Take note of the guide questions below as you conduct your visit. O syempre, hindi na ito pwede ngayon. Visit a local art and culture center. Nasa MECQ na nga no? So, under tayo ng lockdown ngayon. So, hindi po pwede. So, ano po ang gagawin ngayon ng teacher? Hindi na lang ba gagawin itong activity na ito? Well, since we are talking about flexible learning, there is a substitute for this. Okay? So, ito po, please listen. Ito pong buong art appreciation module na ito, it comes with an instructor's manual. Okay? May kasama po ito. So, dun po sa instructor's manual, nakalagay po doon yung instruction plan, may syllabus po doon, and included in the syllabus are suggested websites, okay, where the teacher can direct their students, okay, to learn, to continue learning even though we have difficulties in delivering what the content here. Tulad nito, hindi ito po pwede. So, syempre, we will make an alternative solution for this, okay? So, I hope that tignan nyo po yun, instructor's manual, when you are delivering the lessons, okay? And syempre, yung suggested po ng mga websites, you can opt not to follow it. If you have a better idea, well, go ahead, no po? So, okay lang. So, ano po example niyan? So, dito, gagawin natin, okay, I'll stop sharing. To substitute for that activity, we're going to look at a video clip instead. Okay? So, sabi daw, visit a museum. So, here I'm sharing to you, okay, a clip from YouTube. No? So, ito po ay suggested lamang. So, dito po ay titignan natin. This will be like a virtual tour. Okay? So, dun po sa mga participants natin na nakasuot po ng headphones or earphones, maybe you would like to tone down the volume a little bit para hindi naman po kayo mabigla as I start sharing po ito. So, just, okay, nakashare naman ang computer sound natin. So, habaan natin ng konti ito. Baka mabingi kayo. Okay. So, let's see what this is all about. No? So, this is Pinto Art Museum from here sa bayan ko po sa Antipolo, Rizal. Okay?
Lost, dude, the meaning runs out of my swept away again. Dude, the meaning runs out of my swept away again. To you, will shine again. To you. Suddenly lost so to you will shine again to you. Suddenly lost so to you will shine again to you. Suddenly lost so meaning runs out of my swept away again.
Okay, so I think I've shared enough of the video. So yan po, no, nakita ninyo. Alright, so that's an example of a substitute video na hindi na kailangan lumabas ng estudyante as long as they have an internet
Sir
connection.
Albert, medyo mahina po yung audio niyo, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ayan. Kumusta po yung audio na yan, sir? Yung level po? Am I audible?
Okay, sir.
Okay naman po, Sir Rod. Okay, thank you. So, yun po, no? That is an example, okay, of an activity that you can substitute. Alright? So, I'll stop sharing this. Balik po tayo sa ating module. Okay, tayo. Alright, so, after the students watch this, and I also encourage you, syempre po ay panoorin nyo din po yung video na iyon. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya, pagdating po dito sa susunod na activity, which is the analysis, pag hindi nyo po alam yung pinanood ng mga bata, bobolahin kayo niyan. Nakita nyo yung nakalagay doon kanina, we are the kids that your parents warned us of. No? Alam nyo naman mga estudyante ngayon, okay? They might take advantage na, di naman malalaman yan, nanood tayo o hindi. Okay? So, ayun na nga, nag-enjoy na nga sila. So, sagutin naman nila ng tama itong mga nasa analysis. Okay, so answer the following questions. What did you see? Enumerate 5 to 10 things that were most notable in the place. Describe them briefly. Ayan, so basically what happens is, kung ano po yung kanilang napanood, that's what they will answer here. Okay? So, and then you have other questions. Describe your visit. How did it awaken your senses? Okay, so madali naman po yan. That's hindi naman siya mabigat na mga questions, ano po. Now, I just like to share something when you about arts, no, when you encounter this. So, kasi po meron tayong concept about there's this particular concept po na i-share ko po sa inyo. Ayan. Art is subjective. Okay? So, ito pong art is subjective. That's true, but that can also be subject to abuse. Bakit po? Okay? Art, okay, can be expressed and interpreted in many forms. For example, if a student looks at a particular artwork or painting, or if they listen to a specific kind of music, it gives them a response. Okay? For example, nakapakinig po sila ng isang klaseng music, no, isang track po. Sabihin nila na isang estudyante ninyo, okay, I feel happy when I listen to that music. So, okay, pwede naman, acceptable, but the word happy in itself is very general and vague. Okay? Kasi happy can mean multiple, can mean many things. Okay? It can be interpreted as happiness in the form of contentment. Diba? Pag sinabi mo na, happy na ako na hanggang ngayon, kahit na pandemic, contented ako dahil hindi naman ako nagugutuman. Okay? So hanggang ngayon ay wala pa akong sakit. That's a valid form of happiness. Yung isa na may estudyante, sabihin niya, happy ako kapag ako ay nagpa-party sa disco. Magkaiba yun, di ba? So pero that is still valid under the word happy. So kailangan po ang mga teachers, they have to be very understanding of this. Okay? Malawak ang pag-iisip ninyo. Baka mamaya binubola kayo ng mga estudyante. Mayroon picture dyan, nakalagay, may triangle. Sabihin sa inyo, ang pagkakita ko po dito ay bilog. Okay? Pagka ganon, iba na po yun. Please employ common sense. Okay? Hindi na po pwede na subjective yun. Sabihin niya, sa akin, bilog ang pagkakatingin ko dyan. There's something wrong already with that student. Okay? So, yun lang po. Paalala lang po yun. No? Okay, so maybe I'll exit that. Don't save. Okay. So, balik tayo sa ating module. Okay. So, okay po, no? So, now, let's continue to the next activity. So, ito naman. Okay, nasa arts pa rin po tayo. Okay, second activity. Observe Francisco Goya's The 3rd of May, 1808. So, this is an artwork of Francisco Goya. Okay. Sabi daw po dyan, compare and contrast with the work of Juan Luna, Spoliarium. Okay. Research this artwork online. Ayan. So, magagamit pa talaga yung online, no? So, do not mind the historical context of the work yet. Just try to observe each one. Form small groups and discuss the possible interpretations of the paintings. Try to think of all the factors involved in creating and list down the parallelisms you can find. Okay, so paano to? Hindi masyadong ma-appreciate kasi black and white. Rough draft pa lang naman po ito, no? So, what you can do, okay, ito po, example po niyan, sa aming instructor's manual, meron po dun suggested websites. Papakita ko po sa inyo kung saan po pwedeng pumunta. So, para makita nila yon, let's go to the internet. Okay. And then, tignan natin itong mali. Hindi yan yun. Okay. Eto. There you go. Okay. So this is a particular website, no? Smart History. This is a suggested supplementary website kung saan pwede nyo po i-direct yung inyong students. Because not only is the image embedded in there, there's also a complementary YouTube video wherein they can listen to about the history, about possible interpretations and meanings of the 3rd of May. Ito pong painting na ito. So, yan, kung gusto nilang matuto more about that, they can do so kasi meron pong text dyan, no? May 3rd of May, meron din actually 2nd of May. So, bakit nga ba pinangalan na ganun yun? Okay? So, ayan. Tapos, kung titignan nyo na naman po yung kabila, kasi ko compare nyo daw siya kay Juan Luna, edi dito. Okay, so dito po, Wikimedia Commons is a public domain repository for images, ano po? That might be useful if you want to give examples other than those found within the module. Okay? So you can direct the students there to look for works of art. So, maliwanag po sana yon, no? Okay, so now, balik po tayo ulit sa ating module. Okay, here we go. So, there. Then, after they look at those pictures and compare, again, we have the analysis section, and then they will answer the questions. And write down your answers as a group. Okay, ito na naman. Ito problema dito. So, is this feasible na pwede nilang gawin as a group? Okay? O siguro, sa iba natin kasi mga estudyante, baka magastos ang internet. Okay, makikipag-group chat pa sila. O pwede naman siguro sila mag-messenger na, so anong paningin mo doon sa painting na ito? How did it make you react, no? So, pwede naman po yan na gawin as individual. Total, pwede naman po silang mag-answer dito on the blanks, no? Okay? So, ito po siguro added activity na lang yung group. Kung gusto niyo po na magkaroon sila ng discourse between themselves as students so that makita po nila interaction kung paano nagkakapare-parehas at paano nagkakaiba-iba yung kanilang interpretations of those paintings. Okay? So, there. So, we have those questions. Afterwards, okay, in each lesson that we have here dito po sa art appreciation, we have the abstraction, which basically presents the content. So, andyan na po yung explanations, and hindi naman po siya text heavy. If you look, so very conversational siya. Why do you think some people hang artworks on their wall? What is the most common answer? Okay, so ayan po. So, ayan na po yung body mismo ng lesson. Okay, so once again, dito po pinapresent yung mga functions of art, and then after that we have the application. Okay, as an individual who has gone through a specific set of experiences, what kind of art would you make? What do you want to share to others? What do you want to awaken in them? Okay, is there something you would like to remember, or would you like your audience to just take pleasure in the aesthetics of what you have created? Remember, there is neither right nor wrong answer for artistic interpretation. O, di ba? Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, art is subjective. Okay? Pero it has its limits. Remember, pag hindi na common sense, wala nang sense yung kanyang sagot. Alright, so hindi na po yun license para sabihin nila na tama sila. Okay? So here, dito po sa activity na ito, application, pwede po ito gamitin nila na assessment ng teachers, no? So paste here your simple drawing or artwork of any medium or a photograph that best represents your answer to the guide questions above. So dito po, base sa ating mga binasa, okay, the student, sabi natin, flexible learning, yan ang ating mantra all these days, no? So when this module was written, okay, I think flexible learning po talaga ang employed dito because there's not one possible answer. The student can portray different kinds of artworks. It can be a drawing, artwork of any medium. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Kung hindi magaling mag-drawing yung estudyante, okay, pwede naman na picture, photograph. Okay? Pwede naman na kung hindi din siya magaling mag-photograph, pwede siyang gumawa ng sculpture na maliit, kahit Play-Doh or anything, kahit siguro bote na kanyang balutan ng kahit na ano dyan na papel na makulay. Kung gusto niya, magupit-gupit siya ng mga pieces of paper from different magazines or newspapers, gumawa siya ng collage as long as it expresses or has a message to say, that's valid. Okay? So, paano po yan? Gagawin niya, paste niya dyan, or kumuha siya ng extra sheet of paper, tapos po, picturean niya. Okay? Tapos padala niya. So, wala po kasing ibang medium para maipakita po yung evidence ng work. Okay? But through photograph. Tapos ipadala po either through your group, Google Classroom, okay, or Schoology, ganun po. So, or Facebook Messenger. So, yan. Okay? So, maliwanag po yan, no? Then, last here, assessment section. Okay? Ito po yung instructional design kasi nito eh. So, once again, you have questions dito. Okay? So, hindi nyo na kailangan gumawa ng quiz. Andiyan na yan. Naka-built-in na yan sa inyo. Okay? Pero, syempre, kailangan nyo pong basahin. Alright? So, there. So that's an example lesson in the art section of art appreciation. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Okay, hindi po ako visual artist but I tried to explain as best as I can. Okay, so ako po naman ay musician but I tried po, no? So, yan. Okay, so let's go to a section, a lesson in music. Paano i-deliver ang isang lesson sa music when you're talking about art? So, talon tayo sa music section, no? So, tayo. Okay, chapter 3. Prelude, learning to listen. So once again, this is just an introduction of, okay, the chapter. You have the competencies there. Okay, and let's go straight to the lesson. Yan. So lesson 1 sa music section is the aural realm. Sound, silence, music, and noise. Okay, once again, you have the objectives and the introduction which can be read in advance ng mga estudyante. Okay, so here. Yun din po pala instructor's manual po namin. It also comes with slides, PowerPoint slides na pwede nyo pong i-present sa mga synchronous sessions po ninyo. However, those are just bullet points na nakasummarize na. So I still encourage you teachers to read the module itself. Okay? Para po mas kumpleto. Okay? So basically yung PowerPoint slides po na yun ay parang guidelines lamang po. Okay? When you are giving a lecture. Besides that, okay, dito po sa music section, this module has an accompanying supplementary CD with around 32 music tracks na mostly po ay yung iba po doon ay ako po gumawa to explain musical concepts or give examples po in music. Ano po? So, mamaya po bibigay ko po sa inyo ng idea kung paano po yun i-deliver. Okay. So, we start with this lesson with an activity after the introduction, no? So dito po nakalagay, let us listen to 2 music clips that will be played in class. Mali grammar nito. So sa bagay, rough draft ito, hindi pa ito na-check eh. Okay? So CD track number 1, Tone Contagion. Alright? So and then CD track number 2, Baleleng, The Mermaid Song. O siguro po sa mga taga Visayas dyan, mga familiar po siguro kayo sa song na ito, no? So Baleleng. So ginawa po ko po yan ng examples. Now, the question is, paano po yan? How will I be able to share this to my students? So don't worry, I already made an initiative. Okay? Lahat naman po ng mga examples po dyan, okay, ay nasa public domain naman po, no? So, for example, ito po mga tracks na yan, I did an initiative to post them online in a very accessible website, which is YouTube. Okay? So, here, I'm going to redirect you to my own personal YouTube channel. Okay? Kung saan po nakalagay na lahat ng mga music tracks. So, we go here. Okay, so medyo hintay lang po ng konti, naglo-load po yung internet natin. Okay. Refresh natin. Okay, medyo bumabagal ang ating net. Okay, so sandali lang po ah. Patayin ko na tong isa. Okay, yan, nag-load na po, no? So dito po, this is my my YouTube channel, Himig Tiklado. Okay, so as a pianist, I do a lot of recordings po, no? So both for UP and other institutions. So dito po, okay, so since andito naman, sige, promote ko na din yung channel ko. Please kindly like and subscribe yung mga videos. Okay, if you enjoy music and you love music. So dito po, I'll go to the playlists because I have built a playlist solely dedicated po for the module art appreciation. So dito pwede na mag-sound trip yung mga estudyante. Gusto nila na to explore yung mga sounds na built in. So let's look at that. So play natin yung track number 1. Once again po sa mga naka-headphones or earphones, please kindly tone down para hindi po kayo mabigla. Dito po ay isa example po ng tone. So medyo may part po ito na medyo masakit siguro sa pakinggan. So anyways, here goes. So track 1, tone contagion. Ito po yung CD track 1 supposed to be. Yan, okay. So paakyat po yan ng paakyat. So tama na, baka sumakit po ang tenga ninyo. Okay? So yan po yung example ng track 1. Now, kanina nakalagay doon yung baleleng. So, let's listen to that. Okay? So, ano na po yan? Naka-order na po siya dito sa ating playlist. So, this is track 2. So, let's listen to that.
Okay. Now, we will play what we call a divertimento. Do you know what's a divertimento? No. You know the word diversion. I need a diversion. So that means I need something that will take me out of the usual thing. Yeah? I need to entertain myself. That's a divertimento. Typical divertimento, you probably know this. In minor. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a divertimento. That's the eine kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music. That's a divertimento. Right now we will play a divertimento. It's 3 movements, but we'll begin the second movement. Sitsirisi, alibang-bang, salaginto, sala, katanya. Ang babae, sa lansahan, bumili, parang... Aba, konti na lang kumakanta. Teachers, please teach your pupils those folk songs. Present. Now, we will play now a divertimento. Children, I want you to do something at the end of the piece. I want you to clap really loud. Can I hear that? Very good. Aside from clapping loud, you have to shout the favorite word of the classical musician. Bravo! Okay? We'll expect that later. Okay. So first thing, we have the tune. Can you please give us a name? Okay, that's the tune. That's the oboe. The oboe will get the pitch. And they will choose. Okay? Divertimento by Alejandro Consolacion, Filipino composer.
Okay, so yun po ay sample po ng music na supposedly dapat po nakasama sa supplementary CD natin. But since hindi nga po feasible yung CD because sana po ang setup niyan was the CD would be played inside the class for all the students to hear. So I think sana no kung ideally kung meron po sanang internet connection yung mga students natin, then they can listen to all of the tracks. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed listening to that. Madami pa po yan. Okay? So dito po sa playlist po na yan, not only included are the CD tracks but I also put in supplementary sources. For example, ito pong about silence. Okay? So I hope po na ano po that could be useful sa teaching po ninyo. Okay? So after that, let's go back to our module. Okay. So napakinggan po natin both no, tone contagion and baleleng. After that, after the students listen to those tracks or watch them na lang sa YouTube, dun po they start to answer questions found in the next activity which is the analysis section. So there. Okay? So same thing, of course, the teacher. So kung mahilig po kayo sa music, if you siguro magamit niyo po yung music para pang detox or distress during this time. So hindi po masyadong mabigat tong pagtuturo ng art app dahil madami pong music na kasama. So not only do you learn, okay, nakakapag-distress pa po kayo. So there. Okay? So after that, we have the abstraction section. Once again, the body is presented in there. Okay? And then we have some quick facts, okay, about certain topics. Dito po about silence. So dito meron po kasing musical piece which is titled 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay? Wherein wala pong ginagawa yung mga performers but just listen to the ambient noise. No? So interesting. Okay? Then we have activities, critical thinking. Okay? So once again, the students can answer the questions directly on the book and then maybe photograph them to submit their answers through Messenger perhaps or Google Classroom, whatever you prefer. Okay? So yan. So yan naman po mga questions na yan, they are based doon po sa abstraction. Okay? Now we have the application. Okay? So ito daw, group setup. So let's see kung applicable ba to. Let us divide the class into groups of 3 or 4. Create a simple, creative, unique composition, highlighting both sound and silence using simple materials found within the classroom. Pencils, ballpoint pens, sticks, etc. or by using body parts. So, basically, gagawa sila ng parang sounds na pwede nilang gamitin. Audio recording lang po siguro, pwede nilang ipasa. Okay? So, tunog tao, gamit yung mga materials dito na present sa bahay nila. Okay? Kahit ano pa yan, kahit delata or anything. So, there's no limit to the creativity that they can use. Ano po? So, yan po. Okay? And then you have the assessment. Once again, hindi nyo kailangan magbigay ng quiz. So, ayan na yan. Andiyan na po yan lahat. Sulat na lang po na estudyante. Okay? So, based po yan lahat dito sa content ng libro. Okay? So, meron naman mga mangilan-ngilan that they have to research online. They just have to go to some websites na madali nyo po makita. For example, itong white noise. Okay? They can enter that naman in Google. Okay? So, yan, that is easy to research naman po. Okay? So, there, that's an example po, no? For the lesson in music. Okay? So, Sir Neil, do we still have time for one more lesson siguro para mas malinawan sila, or should we wrap it up?
I think we still have some time, sir, para sa isa pang lesson.
Okay, sige po. Thank you, Sir Neil. Sige, for this, sige po, para siguro mas malalim pa, no, ang ating understanding kung paano mag-deliver nito. So, sige po, let's jump to another lesson in the music section. Let's try this one. So, ito. Okay, ito po, this is from chapter 4. Okay, expositions, a journey through musical time. So, yung chapter 3 po kasi na module namin is about the rudiments of music. Okay, so about the elements. Now, here, chapter 4 is a historical approach. Okay, so we give lessons based on chronological time order. Okay, so simula po nung medieval times up to the present day, there are lessons dedicated to that. There's also a particular lesson specifically dedicated only to Filipino music. Kanina po, kung nakikinig kayo, if you remember that the functions of art is about identity. Okay, so dito po yan, napaka-importante po niyan. Makita po nila. Makita ninyo doon, examples po represented po ang Mindanao doon. The Gangsa culture. Okay, the Gongs in Mindanao, Maguindanao, and also doon po sa North. Okay, so very ano po kasi yan, very representative of Filipino culture. Okay, so eto, tignan natin dito. So yan po yung competencies niya muli. Okay, and then, sige, let's jump now to the first lesson in chapter 4. Lesson 1, Peasants, Princes, and Paladins, Medieval Music. So, once again, you have the objectives, you have the introduction. Okay? So, ito po nga medieval times, the Middle Ages, sometimes called the Dark Ages, or the medieval period, is a period in European history which encompasses nearly 1,000 years. Okay, bakit natin napili itong lesson na ito? Ano ba ang parehas nung panahon na iyon sa panahon po natin ngayon? Okay, here, the bubonic plague. It was during the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages kung saan nagkaroon po ng bubonic plague, yung pong pandemic na iyon na nagmula po sa mga daga which claimed the lives of millions of people, no? And wala pong nahanap na cure doon. All right? So so I could say that learning music could also be relevant, no? Sa ngayon, because tulad natin, we are facing a pandemic just like what they did hundreds of years before. Okay? So, dito po, they not only learn about the music but also most importantly the historical context, the background. Okay? So, 2 in 1. Makakatuto na sila ng music, medyo may kaunti pa silang kaalaman sa history. Right. So, dito naman. So, meron tayo dyan ulit. Activity. Okay? Same as dun sa previous. Okay? So, listening. Number 1, eliciting response. Using your own words right on the blackboard. Siyempre, not applicable. Di na pwede yan. Okay? So, siguro ang pwede pong gawin dyan is what comes to your mind when you hear the phrase Dark Ages? You could probably ask the students to write a short paper. Okay? Na to be submitted online. Ang sabi ko nga po sa inyo, wag niyo na pong pahirapan yung students because mahirap ng buhay natin ngayon. Okay? So, don't give burdensome requirements. Pag gagawa po kayo ng reaction paper na pagagawa niyo po sa estudyante, wag niyo sabihin na okay, maximum of 200, 300 words. Mahalata po na hindi kayo nagbabasa ng paper because the students are forced to write up to that particular amount of words. Okay? Make it short para po madali sa kanila pati po sa inyo. Madali nyo ding malaman kung sila ba ay nagbabasa or hindi. Okay? Sabihin nyo na lang, write a reaction paper, write briefly, okay? About what you understand when you hear the word Dark Ages. So, hindi naman po kasi ito assessment. This is just to preempt them if they know anything beforehand about the medieval ages. Okay? Yan. So, next, listening. So, yan naman po. Same as before, track 17. Okay? Andun po yan sa YouTube natin na channel, sa Himig Tiklado. Okay? Tapos, may isa example pa, track number 18, Douce Dame Julie by Guillaume de Machaut, 14th century. So, let's try to listen briefly to these examples. Okay? Dies irae, which translates to the wrath of God. Okay? So, yan. Pakinggan natin yan. So, tignan natin. Ha? Punta tayo sa YouTube channel natin ulit. Tapos, hanapin natin dito sa playlist. Yan. Kompleto naman po yan eh. So, yeah. Gregorian chant, Dies irae. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to this one. This is track 17 from the Art Appreciation module.
Dies irae, dies irae, solvet seculum infamilla. Teste Davidum civilla. Quantus semores futurus, quantum iudes ascenturus. Und
Okay, so that's a short example po, no? And, sige, so, pakinggan natin yung isa. So, that's like vocal music na example from the medieval pages. Paano naman yung sumunod? The other track, yung kasunod po nito, Guillaume de Machaut. So, this one is an example naman of instrumental music, also from the same period. So, I made it up, sure po na parehas instrumental tsaka vocal, may example po sa mga lessons. Okay, so I guess that's enough for a preview, no? So, alright, balik po tayo sa ating module. Alright, where's that? Okay, so, to leave the students with a good idea, no? Nilagay ko po yung lyrics dyan. So, tsaka yung translation po for both songs. Okay, so that their interpretation about music would be easier to digest, no? Kasi mahirap kung papakinggan lang nila without any inkling or small idea about the text, kung ano ba yung sinasabi nila, okay? So yeah, so once again, after listening to that, they answer the questions, okay? And ito po, itong number 3, describe the melody. Progressive po yan because kung ano po yung natutunan nila from the previous chapter na rudiments, ma-apply nila ngayon dito sa pag-describe. So hindi lang yan basta cliche na activity na ano, na maganda, pangit, okay, malakas yung tunog, mahina. No, it's based dun po sa mga previous lessons that they learned in chapter 3. Okay? So, describe the dynamics. Okay? So, yun nga po the goal of this section sa music is to enable them to have to be musically literate in a sense. Hindi naman po ito talaga, parang we're not expecting them to become professional musicians, but to have an enjoyment or appreciation for the arts and music. Okay? So same, and then you have the abstraction, and then you have the application and assessment. Now, I would like to explain this application and assessment. This is one of the hallmark examples sa flexible learning. Why? Okay? Dito po, let me read this to you. Let us choose between dies irae or douce damejulie. Create a new artwork relating and depicting one of the selections that we had listened to. Choose one from the art mediums below. Be ready to present this at class. You may use the space in the next page. Okay. So, sabi ko nga po, ito po, workbook po yan. Meron po yung space palagi dyan na pwede sila magsulat. Tapos picturean nila, send nila po sa inyo online. Okay? So, dito, based po sa kanilang napakinggan, pwede silang mamili kung gusto nila interpret yung dies irae or yung douce damejulie. Isa lang po. Isa lang. Huwag nyo na silang pabigatan. Okay? And then, from there, they can interpret that through different artistic ways, no? Either by drawing or painting, comic strip, short narrative, okay? Short poem, short interpretative dance. Ba, medyo mahirap to, pero kung gaganahan sila, edi sige, huwag niyong limitahan kung anong kaya nila. Clay figure or model, photograph. O, itong photograph, sana wag naman sila yung magda-download lang through Pexels or Pixabay or public domain na sites. So, ang gawin niyo po, okay, ay para ma-check niyo po yan, sana po ano yun, as much as possible, nandun sila sa picture. Kung po pwede. Okay? Yan. As a group, number 8, short role play. Number 9, use the music as background for a product advertisement. Number 10, pantomime. Okay, once again, a word of caution, kung hindi po to madaling gawin, wag na pong i-adapt kung ito as a group. Pero pwede po siyang i-adapt as an individual activity. Kung may magaling na estudyante diyan na kayang mag-roleplay na mag-isa siya, na parang ventriloquist, why not? Okay? Kaya nga art appreciation eh. Wag nating i-limit yung artistic capabilities nila. Okay? Use the music as background for a product advertisement. So ayan, pwede silang pumili na advertisement nila, gawa nila ng jingle. O, di ba? Edi hindi sila nabobore sa bahay. Okay, masaya pa gumawa niyan. Nanood lang sila ng TV. Pwede na nilang gawa ng background music yung mga nakikita nilang produkto. Alright, so I guess that's enough. I think I've given 3 examples of lessons on the art appreciation module. Okay, so I hope that this was clear enough and that the points that I stated here would be of great benefit to all of you. Once again, thank you po and good morning.
Thank you once again, Professor Roldan. Now, again, thank you for that very informative lecture, sir. It's always a pleasure listening to your lecture and your works. Now, let us read some questions which pertains to our latest or last topic with the help, of course, of our research speaker, Professor Albert Napoleon J. Roldan, who will gladly answer some of our queries. First, let me read our first question from Felicissimo B. Diadio Jr. My question, since the students will answer the guided questions from the module, and I believe it will be submitted to the teacher, is there a way of transmitting the answers without personal appearance?
Yes, Sir Diadio, okay, good morning po. So I've read your question. Since isusulat po nila yung answer sa libro, one way that they can submit this is to maybe take a picture of that particular page at ilagyan po nila ng pangalan nila para alam po na sa kanila po yung libro na iyon. Okay, kasi baka po ang mangyari ay ipasa-pasa po nila sa ibang estudyante, kopya-kopyahan po sila ng sagot. Okay? So, as much as possible po, ilagay po nila yung pangalan nila. Okay? Tapos, they can submit it probably through maybe what? Email or Facebook Messenger. At if your school employs an online learning platform such as Schoology, it can also be delivered through there. Yun po ang sagot ko dun, sir. Okay, so
Yes, next question po tayo, sir. What could be the alternative solution for those students who only rely on modules and has difficulty on internet connection, nor those students who live in rural areas that does not have gadgets for learning? If we have that type of students, since we are not allowed to roam around the city, from Rhea Leslie Altivo.
okay, good morning, Ma'am Rhea. All right, so ito po, mahirap po ito na sagutin, okay? So, let me just explain this kasi baka po ito ay hindi po medyo naintindihan, no? The usual GEC course na dinideliver is usually 1.5 hour long po, no? So 1 hour 30 minutes, usually twice a week. So ang gagawin po natin diyan, most likely hindi po masusunod yun na ganun, and yung mga synchronous sessions po natin, okay? So kung dati po ay twice a week ang meeting, most likely mababawasan po yan to around twice a month because siguro po hindi po ideal para sa mga students natin, especially nga po sa rural areas. Tapos siguro signal, walang coverage at mahal po yung internet. Okay, so what could be the alternative solution for those students who rely on modules? Okay, so um, in the side of asynchronous learning, okay, they can still learn although marginally kasi wala silang magiging tangible na resources eh. Wala silang listening. Okay? So I'm not sure what can be done around here, no? How Rex and Ched will work around this problem if the CDs can be distributed to them, i-deliver sa kanila pero mukhang mahal 'yun, ano po? The logistics would entail of course money, no? So I think talagang hanggang sa module lang po sila makakapagsagot, no? And well, they can still learn something by the book itself. Pero yun nga po, once again, kulang. So, I think this is a technical question that cannot be answered. Honestly, I cannot answer it this completely because the circumstances are just beyond our control, ano po. So, yeah, the only solution I can think is just to give them the modules still. Okay? And kung magagawan po ng paraan na makolekta yung kanilang papers after the semester na ipadala siguro sa post office, I don't know if that's possible or not. It depends also once again on the municipality that the students are located in. Okay? If they're located if there's any access po, no? So there. I'm sorry, that's the best that I can answer that po. Honestly, okay? Because of the circumstances beyond our control. So I hope I answered your question, although it's kind of incomplete, Ma'am Rhea Altivo po. Okay, thank you. So next question, Sir Neil. Basahin ko na po ba? Okay, so siguro ako na lang pong babasa, no? Next question that we have here. Ayan, may nakikita po ako dito sa comments natin. Okay, mga fellow educators, may nagsuggest po, baka may mga drop-box system. That's one. Okay, drop-box system po yon. So, it depends po if that's feasible. So, I think that will fall on that responsibility will fall on the school, perhaps the university, no? So, kung sinong pipick up, kung anong delivery system. So, isa-isahin nila yon, may ruta na pipick upin ng mga submissions ng mga estudyante. Okay. So, basahin ko po yung next na question dito from Michael Abonita. Okay lang po ba, Sir Neil?
Yes, Sir Roldan. From
Sige po.
Michael Abonita, pwede po ba kami makahingi ng copy or link ng guidelines na ituro sa mga student namin?
Okay, I believe ito pong ating webinar is recorded. So please, I think the best one po to answer that would be our staff from Rex, no? So they can give you a copy on the guidelines po. Recorded po itong webinar na ito, wag po kayong mag-alala. I think they can provide you with a physical copy of this. Thank you po.
Correct, sir. Now, they may get in touch with our material advisors for a copy of this lecture.
Right.
Particularly if they want the lecture of Professor Roldan. Now, from
Okay.
Sunny John, sir, you said that we should not require students to submit online. So how they are going to submit if they live in different province? What are the ways you can suggest for us to collect their outputs?
Ayan, ito ang problema, okay? So, okay. Sir Neil, would you happen to have a suggestion for this?
Well, if connectivity is an issue or a problem, I believe there are other ways, like they can put it either in a USB or CD if some are still using CD, but that would take snail mail to be submitted. So, or they can use couriers to submit their outputs as an alternative if they don't have connections.
That's right. Opo. So depends nga po on the availability of the internet connection. So uh yun na nga po, one way could be, yes, that's right, Sir Neil, no? Thank you. Either USB or doon po nilalagay yung portfolio nila, ang mga sagot nila, or snail mail, na parang Dropbox system na lang po.
Yes, correct.
So, ayun, thank you po.
Okay. This one from Berlin Lasco. How are we going to acquire the module presented?
Okay, so once again, of course, you can contact our regional person sa sales ng Rex, no? Or Sir Neil, would you like to answer that?
Yes, as mentioned a while ago, any material like the module that Professor Roldan presented a while ago, we can get in touch with any of our material advisor, particularly the ones in the Davao region. You may also get in touch with our regional sales manager, Mr. Uh, Ronald Eugenio po, para po sa mga inquiries regarding how to acquire the modules of Professor Roldan for art appreciation po.
Okay, thank you po, Sir Neil.
I think I missed a question a while ago here. Sir, I have been teaching the art app old and new curriculum. In the new curriculum, the topic I have a little difficulty tackling with is philosophy of art. How can we simplify this topic readily understandable to students from Michelle Plaza Trangia?
Okay. So, Sir Neil, hindi po naka-flash yung question na yan dito, no, sa atin.
Yes, kasi I think I mistakenly answered it live a while ago.
Okay. Is there a possibility, sir, na sa recording natin ma-capture siya and then we could forward that to Miss Chloe Deliosa, our author sa arts? Because honestly, yung philosophy of art po, cannot answer that completely. Ang sinulat ko po dito sa art appreciation module was the section on music, the last two chapters. The first two chapters were on visual arts by my co-author, no? So, pasensya na po, but maybe we can redirect that to my author when she's present. Okay?
Yes,
Po.
correct. We'll gladly forward the question to Professor Chloe De Leosa. Now, from Albert Revilla, sa panahon ng pandemic, ang pinakamahirap na modality of learning ay yung offline. Aside from that, may division pa with regards to age below 21 and above 21. In terms of submission requirement and exams, should there be should they be the same with those opting for online?
Okay, so let's see. Yung offline, that's true. Pinakamahirap na modality talaga ito, no? So, I'm not an expert tungkol dito sa age division, no? This is with regards to minority and majority, yung age na ito, or dahil sa curfew. So hindi ko po sigurado. In terms of submission of requirements and exams, should they be the same with those opting for online? Okay. So I think this is not only for art appreciation, this is for, I think in general, for all subjects, ano? Should they be the same with those opting for online? Huh. I think the safest answer here is it depends on the subject that is being taught, no? Depends on the demands of the subject. Okay, so kung ito ay medyo demanding na subject, perhaps the professors, the teachers themselves could give more leeway for the students considering that we're already under a pandemic. But if not, okay, so, oo nga. So if they impose deadlines on this, okay, how? So, siguro po if the students uh, once again I think this is just a suggestion po, no. Kanina po nasabi ko is to know the demographics of your class. For example, if you're handling a class which has 20 students, kilalanin niyo po kung sino po yung mga estudyante niyo and ask them by giving a rating kung kumusta po ang kanilang internet connection in a scale of 1 to 10 so that you can probably uh, kind of gauge, okay, kung sino po yung mahihirapan through online at sino po yung medyo maluwag naman po makakasubmit. So, in terms of submission for requirements and exams, should they be the same with those online? Okay, so yun na nga po. Kung offline, so for sure, mahuhuli po yan dahil snail mail ang mangyayari niyan. Kung wala silang online connection, they would submit the requirements through Dropbox system. So, I think we have to coordinate with the administration of the universities and the schools to work around with the schedule, ano po? Because if that's the case, syempre mauna mag-submit itong may online. Kawawa naman ito nasa offline. Paano ito? Okay? So, once again, I think we have to consult po the administrative staff of CHED perhaps and the administrative officers in each university to work around this particular circumstance. Ano po? So, I'm sorry, Sir Revilla. I think that's the only answer I can give. It's quite limited, but I do not have the entire answer to that question po. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Roldan, and I believe that concludes our Q&A.
May isa pa? Ihabol na natin itong isa?
Do we have
Or
this?
hindi
Okay.
na?
Okay, last one from Alan Navales. Can you say something about the experience of the Sublime and its applicability to art app as a discipline?
Okay, so Sir Navales, good morning once again. So can you say something about the experience of the Sublime? So, okay, so we have a very subjective question here. Kasi po, sir, when you say the word Sublime, what do you mean? Okay, so does Sublime have any connections to religiosity, or what does Sublime mean to you as a person? Because the word Sublime to me can mean differently to you. Okay, so siguro if you look at the definition of sublime sa dictionary, it's something that is at the pinnacle of, or the highest experience that we have in appreciating art. Okay, so that's going to vary from person to person because as we all know as educators, there's this concept of the schema, and each particular student has a different schema. Okay, so iba-iba experiences nila. Yes, it's very applicable sa art app as a discipline. That's right. Okay. However, there is no standard one answer fits all if we're talking about the experience of the sublime, because what's sublime for one person could not be exactly sublime for another. For example, if a certain person ang sabihin niya ay para sa kanya ang pinaka-sublime na klase ng music is yung classical music ni Beethoven, and wala makakapantay doon. We have to respect that. Okay? Ganun siya eh. Halimbawa, isa naman, gusto niya yung mga hip-hop o kaya mga remix na naririnig niya habang sumasakay sa jeep. We also have to respect that. Para sa kanya, that's sublime. Okay? So, I think its applicability in the art app module as a discipline is it disciplines the students exactly as to how to respect and how to view others' perspectives in light of their own. Okay? So, wala pong eksakto na tama at mali. No? So, kanina nga po sinabi ko yung about art is subjective. But once again, that is still bound within the dictates of common sense. Okay? So, halimbawa, para sa isang tao siguro, ang pinaka-experience sa sublime niya ay basura. Okay, respeto na lang natin yun. If he or she can create an artwork out of garbage, that's fine. Okay? Pero we do not have to shove down other people's throats, okay, their beliefs. So, this module presents as wide an array of different kinds of arts, visual arts, music, sculpture. So, we are there to discover all of them in the hopes that the student can identify what for them could be sublime, which is less sublime, and probably which is nonsense or non-artistic at all. So, yun lang po, Sir Alan Navales. Thank you po.
Thank you once again, Professor Roldan. And I believe that concludes our Q&A portion. And
Yes, sir. Thank you po.
thank you, sir, for sharing your lecture, your thoughts, especially your expertise about our topic this morning for art appreciation. And yes, that concludes our presenters this morning. At this point in time, may we please remind everyone to fill out the online evaluation form found at the chat box and register in order for you to receive your e-certificate. Now, a reminder once again, only registered participants and able to accomplish the online evaluation form within the next 2 hours at the end of the webinar will get their e-certificates. Now, before we close, let us all hear it from the supervising education program specialist from our partner, Dr. Christopher Pio O. Pulido, for some acknowledgement.
Okay, thank you very much, Neil. Good morning, participants and presenters. Right now, we are about to end day 2 of Davao Region HEI's Flexible Learning webinar series on modular approach to teaching general education courses. This means that we have already covered 4 general education courses, namely Purposive Communication, Rizal, Math in the Modern World, and Arts Appreciation. Yesterday, Dr. Greg Pawilen effectively set the tone for flexible learning in general education. Needless to say, general education courses are indeed versatile. Recently, the Commission issued CMO numbers 1 and 2 series of 2019 on the integration of peace and indigenous people studies or education into relevant higher education curricula. Indeed, general education courses can play a vital role in achieving the objectives of the said CMOs. This was what I meant earlier when I said that general education courses are versatile because the integration of relevant issues that affects the society these days can easily be implemented through the general education courses. Let me take this opportunity to announce that August, pursuant to Proclamation number 282 dated July 31, 2018, is declared as the ASEAN Month. In honor of the regional bloc's founding on August 8, 1967. Therefore, as part of CHED Region 11's ASEAN Month celebration, and in support of CHED Connect, an open educational resource platform that is accessible and shared to all HEIs in the country, the regional office of the Commission will conduct 2 very relevant activities. The first activity for Davao Region HEIs is the conduct of the OER Development Competition, whose subject is about ASEAN awareness and considers this year's theme of cohesive and responsive ASEAN. So all academic teaching personnel, which includes the instructional designer and developers, and most especially the general education faculty members, are invited to participate in this activity. After the competition, the top 3 winners of the OER development competition will showcase their outputs in a webinar on ASEAN awareness hosted by CHED Regional Office 11. So why OERs? OERs are significant in the age of flexible learning education. They are expected to play a vital role in the new normal because it promotes the sharing of learning resources as identified by the HEI, which includes print and unprint materials and online or open access resources, which supports and enhances learning and teaching. The regional office of CHED will release the regional memorandum relative to this and the mechanics within the week, perhaps even today. So at this point, the CHED Regional Office 11 wishes to thank our authors, presenters today, Professors Esmeralda Manlulo of Manila Tilana College and Professor Albert Roldan of UP Diliman. And of course, special mention to Mr. Ronald Eugenio, the Regional Sales Manager of Rex Publishing here in Mindanao. And of course, you, the participants. Without you, the webinar series would not be possible. So on behalf of CHED Regional Office 11, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pulido. With that, we formally close day 2 of our webinar series. Once again, to all our CHED Regional Office 11 educators and HEIs, we thank you for your time, and to all our listeners, we truly hope we were able to enlighten you with the lectures from our speakers. And to our speakers, we thank you for sharing your knowledge. Once again, this has been your host, Neil Manglanlan. Thank you, everyone, and see you again tomorrow at exactly 9 a.m. We'll be accepting participants starting 8:45 a.m. for day 3 of our webinar series. God bless us all.